Hello and welcome back to the Stationary Dev. Today we have another fountain pen review. Today is the last of my sort of spree of recent Amazon Japan purchases. As you can see, probably from the title of the video as well, but from the package you might be able to guess what this is. It's another Pelikan. So I did buy my last Pelikan, which was this M400 from Amazon Japan. I saw another deal for the M600 at a price that I just couldn't pass up. This one is just their one of their standard colors, which I don't have a Pelikan in a standard color actually yet, so this will be my first one of those. But I also don't have an M600 yet. I have an 800, I have a 200, a 400. I don't really want a 1000 because it's just too big and bulky for me. I prefer the thinner pin, so this one is a good one to round out my flock of Pelikans, I guess you could say. So here's our kind of standard box here. It doesn't, coming from Japan, it doesn't come with the little like leatherette sleeve that you sometimes get. The packaging just varies by the distributor. But you do get your instruction booklet. Since it is from Japan, all the stuff is in Japanese there, but from Pelikan Japan. But it's all there and accounted for. And we have our pin. So this is just the standard blue stripes one. But let me turn this on. You can see a little bit better. There we go, maybe. You can see just the stripes are really lovely. I always find Pelikans just to be classy looking pens, and they're, they're not known to be too crazy in terms of design or anything like that. They have some cool resin ones and stuff like that, like special editions and stuff. But they go for more of just like classy, this is just a good pen to take anywhere kind of pen. And I think that's what this is. I love the blue and the black combo. You have the etched finial in the metal at the top there. The Pelikan style clip. There you go. And just the gold trim. So this is just the 600. The cap I found does come off in a little bit, I guess, more rotations than my other Pelikans have so far. So this one comes off in just under one rotation. It's about 3/4 of a rotation, which seems, where did I just put my M400? Seems a little bit, yeah. So the M400 comes off in a half a rotation, and M800, this is my 800, which we'll compare the three here in a minute. It comes off in about a rotation. So that's kind of an interesting differential. Yeah. So I guess the bigger the pin, the more rotations it takes to come off there. So kind of interesting, but I do like the size and the feel, the finish of this one. If you don't know the different 2, 4, 6, and 8, the 2 and the 4 are the same size, just the 200 has a steel nib, the 400 has a gold nib, but they're the same size nibs. The 600 is a little bit bigger and has a little bit bigger nib, but still 14 karat gold nib. And then the 800 steps it up again, is a little bit bigger pin, has a little bit bigger nib, and it steps up to an 18 karat gold nib there. And then lastly, you have the M1000, which is the biggest nib-wise, bulk of the pin-wise, everything there. So this one's kind of in the middle. It's the middle child here, and so that's what I'm going to use it for. For a size comparison, we have the M400, the M600. Trying to line those up to where they can make sense. M400, M600. Move him up just a little bit, and then the M800. You can see the M800 is noticeably wider and longer than the M600. The 600 is a little bit bigger than the 400, but the interesting thing is that I've found is when you uncap it, it's not actually much longer. It's just a little bit wider than the M400. So this is them. If I can keep them from rolling, it's not actually much longer. It's just a little bit wider of a grip. So if you want to buy the 600 because you think it's going to be longer than the 400, it's not really, but it is a little bit wider. And then of course you can post all of these as well. The real difference, I guess, comes with the M800 because it is noticeably bigger than both of them uncapped. And you can see the different steps of the nibs there. You have the 400 nib, which is the smallest one, the medium nib of the medium-sized nib of the 600, and then the biggest nib of these three in the M800. And I always think Pelikan has some of the best looking nibs with their scroll work and the logo. You can tell what size the nib is, what it's made out of, and their big chunky feeds that do the work of shipping all that ink to you. All right, so I'm going to put these up, and we're going to get this M600 inked to piston filler. These are, you can no longer see through the black stripes, unfortunately. And so there's no way to see how much ink there is in there. If you get just the straight black one, it does come with an ink window. So you can see, you know, the ink there, but you just get a plain black pin, which is cool. I mean, that's fine too. The pistons on the M8, I mean, on the all Pelikan pins that I have are the smoothest, just effortless pistons. I don't know how to, there's no way to really describe in video how smooth it is and how, I guess, how little force there is to really operate the piston. But it's effortless. Just take my word for it. All right, and one more close-up of this one is a 14 karat gold, and this one is an extra fine. So the good thing is I found this one extra fine. This one I could only get it in fine, which fine is fine, but a Pelikan fine, right, it's more like you know, what you would expect to be a medium, maybe even a little bit bigger than bigger and wetter than, you know, a regular medium that you might expect from like a regular brand. So this is a fire hose for sure. So I do reckon, you know, get a size down maybe with the Pelikans, unless you just love a fire hose amount of ink on the page and wide lines and whatnot. To ink this one up, I decided to kind of go for something a little bit different. And for that, let me grab our ink for it. We are going to be inking it up with Iroshizuku, this Pilot Iroshizuku Tsutsuji. So this is going to, or is discontinued now from Pilot, but you can get a couple bottles are floating around out there. I got this from Amazon for I guess about a month ago, maybe, if that. Maybe about a month and a half ago, I found a bottle on Amazon for a good price. I think it was like 16 bucks, so it was even cheaper than regular. Yeah, so we're gonna bust into this. I'm not one for, like, I haven't really bought any of the discontinued Pilot inks so far. But when I heard they were discontinuing Tsutsuji, this is my favorite, one of my favorite all-time pink inks, and it's one of my favorite Iroshizuku inks. And so I just had a sample of this before, and so I figured, well, and I found it for a good price, and so I figured, you know, let's just get the bottle so I don't regret not having it later, because I have regretted not getting I don't really like Inaho. I didn't really like Sakushi, so I'm not real mad about those. I do miss Suyukusa. I have had a sample of Suyukusa, and I've pretty much almost used up that sample, and I really like that blue. It's got like kind of a neon quality to it that it just pops off the page, even for on the surface, kind of a basic looking blue ink. But Sakushi's, or Tsutsuji, here, it's kind of a magenta-y pink, like a not dark pink, it's because it's pretty bright, but it has a insane, and you can kind of see it even on this brand new bottle there, it has an insane gold sheen to it, and so hopefully we can see that on like the currently inked, or because today I'll just be riding on Rhodia, so you probably won't see the sheen. Maybe we will, because it is pretty heavy sheen. But we'll be able to see on the currently inked for March, where this pin will probably be featured in that video, and that's on Tomoe River paper, and so we'll be able to see the sheen, the quality. There's Inky Nib for Inky Nib fans. I'm going to wipe it off a little bit if we can. If we can. That was a mistake. Okay, that's good enough. That's going to have to be good enough. There's your kind of napkin color of Tsutsuji. And it stands for azalea, so I like that as well. In the town that I live in or near, they're kind of known for their azaleas. They have an azalea trail in downtown that's like a whole neighborhood that has just azaleas, and so in the spring they do a special thing with that. So it is kind of a cool ink there. All right, to test out our writing sample, we got just our regular old, I think 80 GSM or Rhodia pad. Let's see here. And I just used the blank for this one, 80 GSM. Normal old A5 Rhodia pad. Let's see how the extra fine and the M600 writes. Let me bring it down a little bit so you can see. And try to keep it in focus. So we have the Pelikan. And this is just the blue-black one, M600, a 14 karat extra fine. But definitely what I would call like a fine. Oh no, maybe it's close to an extra fine. Very smooth, very wet. The ink for today is Iroshizuku Tsutsuji. And yeah, this is just a good ink. I like to ink it up around springtime, because it's kind of the, once again, those that azalea color, flowery kind of pink, bright, happy pink color, which I think looks great. Pen, like I said, is very smooth, wet. Let me do a quick writing sample, and then we'll kind of evaluate from there. Speed test, which Pelikan won't have any trouble keeping up there. One of the stock wettest gusher pen brands there is. Yeah, I mean, no skips. Very smooth, as you can expect. Wet. Wetness test here. And that's after doing all of that too. There you go. So yeah, just pretty wet pen. Has a little bit of audible feedback. But utterly smooth, just because, you know, it's an extra fine nib. You'll get a little bit of the paper sound, but there's no resistance, no scratchiness. Yeah, just a beautiful pen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much else to say about a Pelikan. They work well. They write beautifully when you need them to. They hold a good amount of ink because they are, you know, piston fillers. They look beautiful. They perform wonderfully. I don't ever have any problems with them drying out. They're quick to uncap, so they're good ones, especially like the M400 and 200, where it's just half a turn of the cap. They're really quick to uncap, and so you're not spinning threads. So they're good ones to take notes with, even though it's a twist cap, because you can just quickly, you know, take your note and then put the cap back on in your set there. So yeah, let's take a quick look at our writing there. This doesn't really shade too much because it's a pretty saturated ink, where you do get some sheen, but I'm not seeing much here on the Rhodia. But this is just Rhodia paper, so you're not going to get a ton of sheen either way, but you will notice it on more sheening papers or more, you know, better papers than Rhodia. But I think it works great. For line variation, this is, like I said, this is M600 extra fine. I'm going to compare it. Here's the, I think there's still some ink here. This is the M400 and fine. So, I mean, I guess that sizing within the Pelikan, that sizing is consistent because the fine is a little bit broader than the extra fine. But if you compare it to, you know, well, obviously this is going to be different. This is a Sailor, so it's going to be, you know, a lot thinner. Which is kind of how I like my extra fines, so maybe I'm biased a little bit. But even with this as fine, which I think there's still some ink in here, this is a as fine, extra fine steel nib, and maybe it's pretty close. Yeah, I guess it's pretty close to Western side. It's just sodaing wet. It's hard to tell a lot of times. But I guess that's what you would expect from an extra fine, which I'm totally fine with. I'm fine with both of them, because even this fine, even though it's super duper wet and a little bit broader than I tend to like, you get tons of shading. You'll get the ink properties and stuff. And you'll use up a lot of ink. So if you're trying to make it through a bottle, Pelikan pens are great ones for that because they hold lots of ink and they use lots of ink. So they're a great way to try to empty out a bottle. So anyway, that's our review of the Pelikan M600. Great pen. I'm glad to have it in my collection. I think it's going to be a really good addition to my M400, which is quickly becoming a favorite pen of mine. And I still love my M800, but this is about as big as I would go with the Pelikan line. I don't really have a desire to get to the 1000. So I'm happy with these three, because if I'm feeling some chonky boy, I can use this. If I'm feeling something light, nimble, controllable, I can go with this one that just looks beautiful because that tortoise shell look. And if I just want, you know, a happy Goldilocks in the middle, just writing to write and enjoy the writing experience, you know, the M600 is there for the comfort pick. And so, yeah, appreciate it, the watching so far. If you've made it this far, please give a like, subscribe, put a comment down in the comment section, even if it's just to say hi. I try to get back to all of those when I can. And till next time, guys, I'll catch you later.